You are now tuned into Flippin The Birds, a Philly Sports Network podcast.
What's going on, Eagles fans? Welcome all to episode 4 of Flippin The Birds. I'm Brian Cameron alongside Chris Infante. How you feeling, brother?
I'm feeling a little dejected right now. We're 0-1.
We're 0-1.
I might as well start tanking for Tua, right?
We might as well give up on the season after losing our backup quarterback.
I know. It's Nate the Great's out. He's going to be back maybe, week 3, week 4?
Possibly.
We're going to go 0-3 to start the season now.
Yeah, if only we had an MVP caliber starting quarterback just waiting at the helm somewhere that we could just put in when the season starts. That way everybody doesn't panic.
I don't know,
right?
I would give him, if we did, I would give him the number 11.
Oh, definitely. And I would make sure his name ends with Z just so it can match Ertz.
Right. Yeah, because Ertz, he's the star of the team. We need someone with the same letter as their last name to kind of be on this, maybe best friends with them.
Exactly, right? Why not?
Yeah. But I guess we'll see. Hopefully they could go 1-1 this week, and but if they go 0-2, we're done.
Oh yeah, and we're facing the Nick Foles-led Jaguars, you know. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be definitely a tough game for a preseason game.
If Nick Foles goes 1-for-1 on Thursday against us, the people are going to be going for Carson Wentz's head.
Oh yeah, hell's gonna freeze over. Absolutely.
If Carson Wentz goes 0-for-1 and Nick Foles goes 1-for-1, oh boy, the pitchfork's going to be out.
The Nick Folians will be back.
That's right. Nick Foley and Dynamite.
So we do have a lot to cover today. As we just mentioned, we did lose our backup quarterback in the preseason game against the Titans. We do have to cover a couple signings as well as a big trade where the Eagles actually traded undrafted free agent Ryan Bates for Eli Harold. And a previous draft pick of the Eagles got waived today, Shelton Gibson, so we'll cover that as well. And then we'll kind of go over what we saw and what we want to take away from the last preseason game. Again, it's just preseason, but there's little minor tidbits you could take here and there.
Yeah, there are some good things, there's some bad things. This is what preseason is all about, seeing who can play, seeing who can't play. Seeing if the hype in OTAs and mini camps are warranted in preseason games. We had some guys on Thursday that people were pretty high on, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, they didn't really do much. And then people who come out of nowhere that we didn't really think about in OTAs and minicamp, like, wow, he can play.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one in particular, Deshaun Hall, came to play.
Yeah, where was the hype train all offseason for him?
There was nothing. He was sliding really under the radar because everybody was talking about Josh Sweat, who had a good game. He didn't have a standout game. He just had a game. He had some moments where he had Taylor Lewan out on skates pretty much, just pushing him back. And for those of you that don't know, Taylor Lewan is suspended for the first 4 games of the season, the Titans offensive tackle for PEDs. So PEDs didn't help him there. But Deshaun Hall really he was in the backfield so much.
Looking at his stat line, he has six total tackles, 1 quarterback sack, 3 tackles for a loss, 2 quarterback hurries, and a forced fumble. So it wasn't preseason for him.
That's man stats right there.
He definitely was a really good surprise. And another good surprise was your boy.
Before we get into my boy, just for everybody that doesn't remember, Philly Sports Network put out a tweet prior to the game for people to predict who will score the first touchdown of the whole preseason for the Eagles. And the only person to guess, up until the YouTube chat, because we did have one person, Jamesy, he guessed it right in the YouTube channel. But the only person on Twitter who said Mark and Michelle in quarter number 2 was yours truly. And it happened. A nice 70-yard bomb from Nate Sudfeld. But he only had one catch, but one catch on 3 targets. But he showed off his speed. He did it on who did it on? Adoree, right? Adoree Jackson.
Adoree Jackson, the starting cornerback
Yeah.
for the Titans, which was a really big. It's really big for an undrafted free agent of Michelle's type to really pull something off like that against a first round cornerback. I know it's preseason.
Right.
I know the hype is shouldn't be there as much, but this kid shows a lot of promise.
Yeah, if he can, he has speed, so he can. He has what I guess. I mean, we can't really go off of one game, and we can't give him the Shelton Gibson treatment because see where Shelton Gibson is right now. We'll get more into that in a minute. But because last preseason, Shelton Gibson led the whole league in preseason yards, and he had one reception the whole season. So Marcus Michelle right now, one reception for 75 yards. He's shown he can beat the best of them in Adoree Jackson. Adoree Jackson's a very good, very fast cornerback, but we got to see that consistently. But yeah, again, I predicted it.
You definitely did. I'm hoping that Liam gives you one of the first Flipping the Birds giveaways.
Well, Liam's not gonna give me anything. He's getting me a mic. That's fine. But yeah, so according to Pro Football Focus, Alex Singleton. The train is rolling along. Alex Singleton was our highest defensive player from that game with a 91. And he was a man on a mission.
He was all over the place.
He was all over the place. This guy has Brian Brayman put in a better version written all over him. Brian Brayman was our special teams extraordinaire, and Alex Singleton has the hair, he has the play. He was all over the place. He's really trying to show that he deserves that spot that Grugier Hill has vacated with his injury. Even though Grugier Hill is not going to be out that long, he'll probably be back maybe week 4, week 5. But Alex Singleton showed really that he can move with the best of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Another player that kind of showed out in the beginning and kind of just, I guess, got Eagles fans really excited was Dallas Goedert. He was literally all over the place catching everything. I think he had 3 receptions on 5 targets for 50 yards, but he was a man on a mission.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Pro Football Focus, he was their highest rated player overall for the Eagles with a 92.3. By far on the offense. The next one is Andre Dillard, who was also another man on a mission that game. Yes. But Andre Dillard was a 73.5. So 92.3 for Dallas Goedert, number 1. He was blocking great. He was pretty much catching everything that was thrown to him. A couple fell incomplete, obviously, but he showed a really all around game.
He definitely did. And back to Andre Dillard, man, I'm so ecstatic to know that this guy is going to be our left tackle for possibly maybe some parts of this season, but definitely from after this season and on. I'm comfortable with the idea of having Dillard there opposed to how everybody was kind of hyping up Mailata last season. Even though Mailata didn't look terrible on the right side, he's still very fresh to football in general. The kid has spent 1 year in football. This is his second season. I highly doubt the Eagles are going to give up on this kid. Brian Baldinger is a huge fan of his. Right. So that has to speak volumes across all of the NFL pretty much. That's why the Eagles are holding on to him.
I mean, he has some good tutelage over there. So I mean, Mailata, he's learning from Jason Peters and Lane Johnson. I mean, who better to learn from as a player? I mean, I know Dillard is really the one learning from Jason Peters, but Jason Peters, he's really taking on this role of being a player coach for Dillard and Mailata. He had the same thing in Buffalo when he was a rookie, turning from tight end to offensive line. Mm-hmm. For those of you that don't remember, Peter started with the Bills as a tight end, and they moved him over to offensive line, and the rest is history. Look at him. And then you got Jeff Stoutland, the Eagles offensive line coach since 2013, who was probably, if not the best, one of the best offensive line coaches in the entire NFL.
Yeah, absolutely.
You ask around the league, if you ask players around the league, coaches around the league, Jeff Stoutland is in high regard in every single team circle. So for Mailata to really jump jump over Ryan Bates, who again he's undrafted, but for them to still be around and put faith in the 7th round pick out of Australia, it speaks volumes for how he's moving. He didn't have the strongest game Thursday, but he did show flashes of how he can move. And we may be looking at the next two, bookends for the Eagles. Well, not Mailata, because Lane Johnson's is going to be there for a long time.
Yeah.
But with Dillard and Johnson there, and a solid backup in Mailata, this offensive line is going to be one of the most elite in the league for years. For years.
And which has been a focus for the Eagles when it comes to draft season every year, is building in the trenches, whether it's defensive line and offensive line. And I want to touch on something that you said about Jason Peters. A couple years ago, when Chip was the coach, Jason was very much against even thinking about mentoring Lane Johnson to possibly take his spot for years to come at the time. And I think this speaks volumes to the culture that Doug Peterson has built within his locker room. He's changed the mindset of all these veterans, pretty much. Players who you would think will be me kind of players have become true team players. And it's phenomenal. And I think this is going to be a big testament towards a backup quarterback position, because as everybody knows, Nate Sudfeld is out for 6 weeks, and people are panicking, saying we need a backup quarterback. We need a backup quarterback. I think everybody needs to realize we have a starting quarterback. Let's focus on getting our starting quarterback ready for day one, and let's go from there. Cody Kessler, he might be a decent backup if Wentz goes out for a play or two. It doesn't matter. To me, at this point, it does not matter, because Doug Peterson has proved himself to be the one, pretty much. He succeeded with Nick Foles. He succeeded with Carson. I think he could pull it off with anybody at this point.
Right, and to speak about the culture that Doug Peterson has built, Jason Peters was also against becoming a guard to extend his career for a long time. And now, a couple weeks ago, he actually came out and said that he's open to playing guard now to extend his career.
Dude, can you imagine that?
Imagine Dillard and then Peters on the left side, and then Brandon Brooks and and Lane Johnson on the right side with Jason Kelce at center. That's who's gonna put pressure on Carson Wentz? No one.
You're having one of your aphrodisiac moments.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, you look at how the Colts offensive line is right now with Quentin. As soon as they got Quentin Nelson, who's a complete animal. Andrew Luck went. I'm not pretending to know the amount of snaps that he went in a row without getting sacked, but it was a lot. They really built up that line, and Andrew Luck finally going from one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the entire league to, I think he was the least sacked last year, because of that offensive line. Imagine Dillard, Peters, Kelce, Brooks, and Johnson. No one's touching Wentz ever again.
So with you saying that, do you think possibly at some point this season we could see Peters at guard and Dillard? Sorry.
We don't have Dillard.
Yeah, unfortunately not. Dillard starting at left tackle.
I don't think so. I don't think it'll be this year, just because you haven't seen any practice from Peters at guard so far this season. I mean, if he dabbled in it a little bit to give Dillard first team reps and put Peters at guard, just to see how they will work off each other, especially with that left guard situation. Even though Sayamalo's locked in, not as strong as right guard, but Brooks is hurt too. But I don't think it'll be this year. Peters signed that 1-year deal for this year. I'm sure it'll all depend on his body and how he feels after this season. And if he feels like he can still play for the Eagles, and how he's like, listen, we drafted Dillard with the first round pick, maybe that's next offseason. That's when Peters puts in the work to become a guard. And then maybe if something happens with Brooks again, they can move Sayamalo over to right guard. Or if Kelce really decides to retire, he's been thinking about that the last couple of years. Maybe they've moved Sayamalo to center, which I wouldn't like that at all. But we'll see. We'll see. We got some time.
I think I might get emotional if Jason Kelce retires. I think that would really hit me home.
Yeah, the whole city of Philadelphia and their fans they're gonna cry.
It's gonna be a surreal moment.
He's a legend. He's a legend with his play. One of the best centers ever to play the game. He's a legend in his speeches.
Oh yeah.
And how he dresses and his haircuts. He's a great guy. And if those of you who can hear in the background, my wife just posted that she met him before.
Checkers with my students. He's a good guy.
He's played checkers with some of her students before. My wife is also a teacher, as am I. But Jason Kelce played checkers with her students once, and he's a very nice guy.
I wonder how competitive he was with her students.
How competitive was he with your students?
They said that he let them win, though.
He let them win.
Good guy.
He was a good guy.
Okay. There we go.
Good guy, Jason.
A+ for that.
Good guy, Kelce.
So speaking on the lines, we did make a move for a defensive lineman and trading Ryan Bates, like I said before, for Eli Harold. Harold, he seems pretty excited from hearing his interviews, from reading about what he said so far after today's practice. I think today was actually his first practice. He feels like this team is actually doing him the favor of actually putting him in a position to succeed.
Right. He said it feels amazing. First off, it feels like it's nice to feel wanted. That's how any player feels like when they get traded. When you get traded, you feel that team didn't want you, and then now you go into a team that traded for you, so you feel like you were wanted by that team. Harold, this will be his 5th year in the league. He spent 3 years with San Francisco as a linebacker, and then last year with Detroit as kind of a defensive end. But Jim Short said there was more. They were playing him more of in a hybrid role last year, and he has 9 sacks career, and last year he had 4. He played 13 games last year, had 4 sacks, only 10 tackles, but. When you're playing a hybrid role, you're not really put in position to succeed if you're not rushing the passer. So he's in a good spot here. He had 5 QB hits last year, 4 tackles for loss out of those 10 tackles. So he can get into the backfield when he gets the opportunity. So to put him in this rotation, he's gonna have some opportunities to succeed.
I'm looking forward to seeing him, man. I mean, to see how many people were conflicted saying that defensive ends would be such a area of weakness for this team. I'm honestly seeing and believing that it's not going to be weakness. I truly feel like this team may not have a weakness at all at this point. Because even looking at Andrew Sendejo and Cyprien in the preseason game, Sendejo looked really good. Cyprien, at first he was kind of a little bit off, but then when he got his footing, he looked good as well. So now we have a secondary where the safeties is 4 legit safeties that could be starters on any team.
Right. The safeties, they had their moments, but they did look pretty strong. Cyprien did give up that touchdown that people were knocking LJ Fort for, but it was Cyprien's fault. Sendejo had his moments, but he was strong against the run and the pass. So these backups, they're looking pretty good. And going back on Eli Harold quickly. When he was coming out of college, he went to Virginia. He had a 4.6 40 for a defensive end. That's pretty good, pretty quick. 4.16 20-yard shuttle. And I know NFL comparisons are said with a little tongue in cheek, like, oh, they remind me of this and that. But his comparison on NFL.com was Olivier Vernon. And Olivier Vernon is really, really good. Now we can talk about Olivier Vernon in a good context now because he's not in the Giants anymore. But Olivier Vernon, he's a very good pass rusher. So for Eli Harold to get that when healthy, yes, to get that comparison coming out of college, that people held him in high regard.
That's really good.
To go back to your no weaknesses. I think the weakest point right now, I would say, is corner. We have those injuries at cornerback. We just, we're signing players, we're trading for players for the secondary. We just signed another cornerback today after waiving with the injured designation to Shelton Gibson, who was one of our 5th round picks. No, he was the 5th round pick in 2017. He was selected after Mac Hollins. So our 2017 draft wiltering away right there. We just signed another corner today. So Jordan Shelton and waived Shelton Gibson. So we signed the last name Shelton and waived the first name Shelton. And then we signed Ajini Harris, who's a undrafted rookie, last week. And then we had Orlando Scandrick a few weeks ago. So we're signing all these corners with Cravon LeBlanc out until probably November.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Mills is on the PUP list right now, but he's on the active PUP list. We don't know if Ronald Darby is going to play week 1. So it's a little banged up back there, but nothing too crazy to worry about.
That might be a blessing in disguise, in all honesty, because we finally get to see if Ronald Darby can't start week 1, if Jalen Mills can't start week 1, we could finally see Rasul Douglas, Sidney Jones, and Avonte Maddox back there. And people have been raving about that all offseason. Like, that's been a big thing all offseason. I'm dying to see how these 3 players play together, because it can mean so much with Jalen being in the contract year, Darby being in the contract year, and Cravon. I mean, I think Cravon's more for depth, but don't tell Liam I said that, please.
No, Liam, let you skip over this part. But yeah, with the talent-wise, Sidney Jones and Rasul Douglas on the outside can be another Lito Shepard and Sheldon Brown for us, and they were so great for us back then. Maybe even Bob. I mean, I'm reaching here to greatness, but Bobby Taylor and Troy Vincent. We had those corners for a long time, and maybe that's what we got here. Sidney Jones and Rasul Douglas. I know Sidney Jones has to show that he's healthy, but and Rasul Douglas has to show that with the playing time he can keep going with, even though he led our team last year in interceptions with not much playing time, but he has to show the consistency. And let's see how Avonte Maddox steps up year 2. He had a great rookie year, but let's hope that there's no sophomore slump for him.
Oh man, I'm looking forward to seeing the defense now. You definitely just talked me into the defense right now. I think I'm having an aphrodisiac moment with the defense.
The defense, that's right. We got explosive offense for me and explosive defense for you. I don't know. We're gonna have to make these podcasts rated R from now on. All right. So So like we said in the beginning, we got Thursday is our next preseason game. It's against mighty Nick Foles, BDN. We're not going to say the full nickname because we don't want to be rated R.
Not that rated R, but the legendary one.
Not the legend, the BDN, as my wife is making the gesture right now when I said BDN. So with that, my wife's going to take my dog outside to go play fetch because now that she had to go outside to cool herself off after thinking of BDN.
I don't know how to turn this off, though.
So Thursday, I mean, who knows? Carson Wentz came out and said that he doesn't really need to play in the preseason.
Yeah, I think
but you always want to see those. You always want to see those reps. You don't want your first reps of the whole off season and game action being in actual game. Week 1 against the Redskins. But maybe he plays a series. I kind of hope to see he plays a series. And then maybe next week play a couple series, maybe half of a quarter, maybe. But Elliot Shore-Park said a couple of days ago, Nate Sudfeld's injury is a perfect example of why Carson Wentz shouldn't be playing in the preseason. I kind of want to see, just at least give us a preview of a bomb to Deshaun Jackson. Give us a little bit. Don't make us wait another 4 weeks.
I think I could wait. I'm on the fence where I truly feel like preseason, you should not play any starter, in my opinion. It's just like you're throwing your gold into the lava for if you play your starters in preseason.
Yeah, I guess with Goddard now being hurt and Lane Johnson being hurt out of nowhere, like who knew that happened? Yeah. And then Sudfeld get hurt. I know Hassan Ridgeway I think he had a concussion. But I'm impatient. I'm probably the most impatient person because I'm pretty patient. Being a teacher, you develop all this patience. But when it comes to the Eagles, I want these things now. But if they don't want to play him the whole preseason, I get it. I completely understand. I guess I'll have to wait till September 8th to see the bomb. But I can't wait for it to be Deshaun Jackson blowing past Landon Collins, the big free agent signing for the Redskins, reminiscent of Michael Vick, throwing it deep to Deshaun Jackson, blowing past Laurent Landry, who was talking so much crap during the week leading up to the game. Could it be that? Once to Deshaun Jackson, blowing past Landon Collins. Mr. He wants to get paid like a safety, but he's really a linebacker. And then for a quick 7-0 lead with 14 minutes and 50 seconds to go in the first quarter.
So you're calling it first play of the first drive of the game?
Within 10 seconds of the game, the kickoff. All right, everybody, listen, write this down because this was going to happen. I predicted.
You're 1 for 1 right now. You're 1 for 1, so I believe in you.
So here we go. It's going to be a kickoff to Corey Clement, who's going to make the team. He's going to be the kick returner. He's going to do a touchback. And when the first play of the game, Carson Wentz drops back. 10 seconds into the game, Deshaun Jackson walks into the end zone. 14 minutes and 50 seconds left in the game. In the first quarter, 7-0 Eagles over the Redskins.
All right, so you heard it here first. Start Deshaun Jackson first week of the game in fantasy.
That's right. He'll get you a quick if it's a PPR right there. That's quick 7 points. Well,
there
plus that's quick 14 points with the it'll be because touchbacks go to the 25-yard line, right?
Yeah.
So quick 75-yard touchdown bomb. So that's 1 point for PPR. That's 7.5 for yards. So that's 8.5 plus another 6. That's 14.5 points right off the bat for your team.
There we go. Start off to a hot lead. So with that said, so talking about the season, I think it's time for us to get into the final 4 games before we announce our big giveaway for passing 200 followers in the time that Chris predicted we will.
Right. Yeah. So last week we were at I think 135 followers on Twitter.
Yeah, we were super light
after last Sunday's episode. And we gave you guys the challenge. If you got us to 200 followers by this episode, by us recording this episode, which was 6:30 on a Sunday, we would do a giveaway for some PSN merchandise. So we have now eclipsed 200. We hit 200 last night, Saturday night, and right now we're even more than that. Right now we are at 206 followers. So thank you everyone so much. But
Absolutely.
before we get to that giveaway, so far we are through 12 games in our breakdown. We have done 3 episodes so far. We've done 4 games each episode. So our last 4 games of the season will come to now at our 4th episode. We are both at 10-2 for the season. Hold on a minute, everyone. Let's pause for a minute as my wife walks into the house, screeching the screen door. We're both 10-2 for the season. We differ on a couple games. My 2 losses are against the Packers at Week 4 because I just don't think after a game on Detroit on a Sunday, going away at Green Bay on a Thursday night is very good for the team. But Brian has them winning, and I have them losing against Seattle. And Brian has them beating Seattle for the first beating Russell Wilson for the first time in the regular season.
It's going to happen. I'm predicting it.
But then Brian does have them losing to Detroit Sunday, September 22nd, and he has them losing at Buffalo. So we're both 10-2 right now in the season. Last 4 games of the season are all against NFC East opponents. And according to both of us, we have the Eagles already 2-0 in the division. And the first game of this 4-game slate against the rest of the division is December 9th, and it is home against the New York Giants.
The Odell Beckham-less Giants.
The Odell Beckham-less Giants.
The every wide receiver-less Giants.
Yeah, pretty much at this point. The team's general manager, Dave Gettleman, said that last January we didn't sign Odell Beckham to trade Odell Beckham. This is January 2nd, 2019. And it was tweeted out by the Giants' Twitter. We didn't sign Odell to trade him. Well, on March 12th, 2 months later, Odell Beckham Jr. has been traded to the Browns. So we see how that went for them. And so far, since Odell has been gone, former Eagle, Golden Tate, suspended for 4 games with, PEDs. Now, you as an NFL player, as a professional football player, you should know what's going into your body. I get his reasoning. His reasoning was that he went to a fertility doctor with his wife. They're trying to expand their family. Apparently, there was an ingredient in the fertility drug that was banned by the NFL. But at the same time, you should know what's going into your body, especially as a doctor. If you're paying so much money for a pretty high-end doctor, they should know what's going on in your body. They in the trade with the Browns, they got Jabril Peppers, New Jersey's own Jabril Peppers. He went to, I believe he went to Paramus Catholic.
And it's not a bad pickup at all.
No,
Peppers is not a scrub. Let's make that loud and clear.
Not a scrub at all. He's not a scrub. People want to downplay him because he's not Landon Collins. He's a miniature version of Landon Collins because he's kind of a box safety just like Landon Collins was. But he's a good pickup. I'm sure he's pumped up to play at home. MetLife is 20 minutes away from where he went to high school.
Yeah.
So, and then they picked up a really good guard in Kevin Zeitler with a trade. It wasn't the same trade as Jabril Peppers. They traded actually with when they sent Olivier Vernon to the Browns. They got Kevin Zeitler, so they did actually two separate trades with the Browns.
It was weird because it was like a day apart, if I'm not mistaken, right? And then they tried to put it together, and then they separated it, and then put it together and separated it.
Pretty close together, yeah. They signed Golden Tate, who's out for the first 4 games. They signed defensive end Marcus Golden to, I guess, try and replace Vernon. I don't know. They signed safety Antoine Bethea. They had 3 draft picks in the first round. They had Mr. Heir Apparent, Daniel Jones at number 6. Everybody's criticizing, but he did go 5 for 5 on Thursday for the Giants.
Not too bad.
So he's leading. He has 100% completion percentage. Good job, Giants fans.
But it's preseason.
Yeah, it's preseason. They also drafted Dexter Lawrence, who everybody had questions on him. They thought that he was a really high pick for him. But they got arguably the best corner in the whole draft in DeAndre Baker. I was a big fan of DeAndre Baker. I'm pissed that he went to the Giants, but he's going to be good.
They really had a good first round. That was all 3 picks in the first round, right?
Yeah, I would hope that your first round was good when you have 3 picks in the first round.
Well, it is the Giants. You never know.
Yeah, that's true. And then they only really lost. The big-time losses were Odell Beckham Jr. Well, this is before we learned about the injuries. Odell Beckham, Olivier Vernon, and Landon Collins. Now they lost, Corey Coleman, I believe, for the whole season. I think he tore his ACL.
Yeah.
Sterling Shepard is out for a while with injury. He let's see. Oh, he actually he was cleared last week to participate in live drills. He broke his thumb July 25th, but on July 31st he was cleared to participate in live drills. But he was only making one-hand catches, so without. But it looks like he'll be ready for the opener.
Okay. I
hope, because Golden Tate's suspended for the first 4 games. So, but looking actually now that I'm on Roto World right now, looking at team news, first-round cornerback DeAndre Baker will undergo an MRI on his injured knee. This was today. This is earlier today. It says the rookie felt something during Sunday's warm-ups, which prompted the MRI. That's all that's on right now.
Well, that's interesting. You never want to hear anything about a cornerback in their knees.
No, definitely not. I mean, it's the second most devastating for a cornerback outside their Achilles.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll see how that goes for them. I mean, they're always getting bad news, the Giants are. But so looking at this game, I don't think there's any way we're facing Eli Manning. I think Eli's last game against the Eagles in his career was probably last year. Because at this point it's week 13. No, week 14. No, sorry, week 13. Yep, 13, 14. Yep.
And we're assuming the Giants at this point have nothing to play for, depending on how their season goes.
I keep changing myself. It's week 14. Yeah, by this point, December 9th, the Giants are, if they have 12 games also, they're probably 3-9 at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. So with Daniel Jones probably already playing quarterback for them. So we're probably picking Daniel Jones. Sorry, Eli. Thanks for the memories. Thanks for always passing it to us, to the Eagles. But yeah, the Giants are probably a bigger dumpster fire than the Redskins are. Which is really hard to believe, because the Redskins are absolutely awful. But when you're looking at this game, there's really outside of Saquon Barkley, who's great. He's absolutely great. I'm pissed. Another player that I'm pissed that he's on the Giants.
This is the Saquon versus Miles game.
Right, it's gonna be the Penn State game.
Oh wow, this is the beginning of a rivalry.
Yeah. So, because at this point, Miles Sanders might be the number one back for the Eagles at this point in the season.
Mm-hmm.
But he is. Which before we get into Daniel Jones and how he's gonna run this offense. We're going to miss Eli Manning so much. In 30 games against the Eagles, Eli Manning is 10-20 against the Eagles. 10-20. And he had 20 losses versus one team and 52 touchdowns to 34 interceptions.
That's wild.
And only a 59% completion rate. He leaves us on a 5-game losing streak to the Eagles. The last time he beat the Eagles was Week 8 in 2016.
Wow.
And that was after
Carson's rookie year.
Losing streak. Yeah, so that's 28-23. He outdoed a rookie. But poor Eli. Sorry, I hate to see you go, especially with numbers like that. But yeah, I mean. The Giants did draft 2 really good cornerbacks in aforementioned Baker and Julian Love. Daniel Jones, he's going to be the starter here. He's not very good. The new offensive line is going to be better because Zeitler was Pro Football Focus's best pass blocking guard in 2018. But and Saquon Barkley's probably going to have another 130 yards rushing against us. But that's going to be their only offense. It's Saquon Barkley. Golden Tate's not going to have a game against us. Sorry, he didn't do much with us. He's not going to do much against us. I
think he's on the wrong side of 30.
All right, he was good with Detroit because he had Matt Stafford. He wasn't really good with us because he was saying we went and then Foles. He didn't really have one quarterback with us. Now he's going to have to play with Daniel Jones. He wanted to go to a team so he can win in free agency. He went to the Giants.
That's a mind-blowing part. He said he wanted to go to a contender. That was the main thing.
Yeah, so, no, it's not going to happen here. Eagles win. They're 11-2.
Yeah, I don't even ask me. You already know.
So, we're both 11-2. So,
yeah.
December 15th, it'll be away at the Redskins. For both of us, this is now the second game after the opening game on September 8th against the Redskins. We both had them beating the Redskins. And, the Redskins are actually tied with the Patriots with the NFL's easiest, really the Patriots are going to have the easiest schedule this year.
That's wild.
2019 based on last year's records. But at the same time, you got to remember, the Patriots playing the AFC East. So you got the rest of the AFC East records from last year built into that too. But it's entirely possible the Redskins are still kind of relevant depending on how Dwayne Haskins plays during the season. But, and they will have a very good defense, even though without Reuben Foster, they also released Mason Foster. Who knows if Josh Norman's going to hold up the whole season? Who knows if Landon Collins is going to be healthy in December 15th? But the Eagles have won the last 2 games at FedEx Field. This is probably a game that the Eagles need to have to clinch the division. Because if they lose this game, then just looking forward, December 22nd is against the Cowboys. So if they lose this game and then they drop the game against the Cowboys, that's going to be tough for the division. So I think the Eagles, even though it's away, and then Redskins fans are going to be in full force trying to boo the Eagles and trying to cheer for the Redskins, the Eagles are going to win this one and go 2-0 with the Redskins this year.
Yeah, I mean, the only person that really scares me on the Redskins is Ryan Kerrigan. He's the only one that's always been super consistent against our offensive line for some reason. I don't see us winning. I mean, I don't see us losing this game. Pardon me. I don't see us losing this game just because the NFCs outside of Eagles and Cowboys, they're rebuilding. So it's not going to make sense that a team that with Super Bowl aspirations loses to a team like this right now.
Yeah, there's no way. So they're 12-2 going into the Cowboys game.
Yep.
The Cowboys game, December 22nd. gonna be home at the link. You know, the link is gonna be it's probably already sold out for this game. You know, it's gonna be a late December matchup between the Eagles and the Cowboys. At this point, the Eagles are 12-2 according to us. And I wrote in my article, you know, being unbiased, as much as I hate the Cowboys, being unbiased, they are tied for the 14th hardest schedule going into 2019. So I wrote that this is a good chance that this is a must-win for them. You know, who knows how their season starts if they don't get Zeke signed? Who knows if Cooper has the same season he had last year for them? Who knows if Dak is even above average without Zeke? You know, so I said, let's say, being unbiased, let's say their record's 8-7 going into this game. It's definitely a must-win for them wildcard hopes.
Yeah, absolutely.
With only 2 games left, this one and the following week, because I looked at the schedule and I already really see only 7 slam dunk wins for them, and then with the other 6 being toss-ups. So let's say within those 6, I have 7 slam dunks, and within those 6 other toss-ups, they only win 1 of those. So you're looking at a 7-win season so far, or 2 of them, 8-win season so far. They have the Giants, which they have the Giants, Redskins, Dolphins, their first 3 games. Possibly go 3-0 to begin the season and really bring those Cowboys fans' hopes alive and well. But then they have the Saints that they'll probably lose to. They have the Packers they'll lose to. Then they have the Jets. That could be a toss-up. That could be a trap game for them. Then they have the Eagles, which we already said they're going to lose. And they have the Giants again, which they'll beat. They have the Vikings, and then the Lions, Patriots, Bills, Bears, Rams before us. That's a tough slate of games for them before the Eagles. So let's say they're 8-7 going into this game, and it's a must-win. I think I also wrote down the big question mark for this game is whether or not Ezekiel Elliott will be playing in this game, since the league may suspend him, for his off-field conduct with pushing the security guard. But who knows if he's even playing the game because he doesn't want a new contract. But for the longest time, from 2013 to 2015, and that may not seem like the longest time, but that's 3 seasons. The away team won 6 straight matchups. Mm-hmm. So the Eagles won in Dallas. Dallas won at Philly for 6 straight games. And unfortunately, I think that's what happens here. I think the Cowboys' desperation turns on, and I think, being the Eagles 12-2, I think the Eagles probably already have the division locked up at this point. Maybe first round bye 2. I just don't think. I think the Cowboys will want this game more than the Eagles will, just based on standings wise. I don't think they'll want it more because they hate each other. They hate each other, especially Lane Johnson and DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think the Cowboys are going to sneak one out of there just to keep their wild card hopes alive.
So here's my thing about this game. A trend that I've noticed. In 2017, Eagles won both matchups against the Cowboys. In 2018, Cowboys won both matchups against the Eagles. I think I'm bold enough to say that the trend continues, and being that we saw the Eagles win in the beginning of the season against the Cowboys, I think Eagles take this and kind of put their foot on the Cowboys' throat in a sense.
And end their season.
Yeah, I think they put the nail in the coffin at this point. If it gets there.
All right, so everyone's gonna be, I'm probably gonna get hate mail tomorrow. Probably gonna get people screaming at me in my DMs tomorrow that I don't
know. You might get some love from Derek from Pod Street.
Yeah, no, Derek's gonna be my new best friend. But I just for them to be 12-3 at this point, come on, it's fine. I know it's a loss to the Cowboys, but I'm trying to be realistic here. I'm not trying to get them to be 16-0. So. All right, last game of the season, which I hope that my wife and I can attend. We might have a 1-month-old at this point, so depends on her, I guess.
Mommy needs a day out.
But Mommy says she's gonna need a day out, so we're gonna definitely try our best to get to this game. Away at MetLife against the Giants. At this point, I have them at 12-3. Brian has them at 13-2. I think after the loss to the Cowboys, this turns into a must-win because of home field advantage and first-round bye. Maybe they thought things were going to bounce their way record-wise and they would still clinch it even with the loss. Doesn't happen at this point. I think even with Nate Sudfeld at the helm, for probably the second half, maybe Wentz plays the first half and the starters, Nate Sudfeld with his newly minted left wrist comes in and protects the lead and gets us to 13-3 with a first-round bye and the number one seed in the NFC.
So I'm going to agree with you on one sense. I think the Eagles do end up with a record of 13-3.
Oh, but you have them losing this game.
I have them losing because no starters playing, no real game plan going in. That's the only reason I have them losing. Now, do I think they'll lose? It's like probably a 25% chance that they lose, in my opinion. But I'm not going to go crazy and saying that the Eagles will go 14-2. I definitely think they go 13-3, and I think this might be the loss. But like I said, it's a high school game at this point. Doug's not going to risk losing anybody. It's preseason at the end of this point.
Yeah. At this point, just keep everybody healthy, and get ready for a nice 2 weeks off for these starters. Because according to both of us, these Eagles will not be playing first weekend in January. They will be getting ready to see who they will be facing on January 12th. January 5th, they will not be facing, and they will be hosting for a playoff game. For that playoff game and the NFC Championship game, they will be hosting because according to us, they will be the number one seed in the whole NFC. So next week we'll dive into who I think will be in the playoffs. I have the whole 6 seeds. I think they'll be in the playoffs. And who they will who they may face in the playoffs. But we'll get into that next week. But now we have our giveaway.
The moment you've been waiting for.
The moment that hopefully you've been listening in the whole episode for, and not just skipping through the whole episode to get to this point. But like we said, we asked you to get us to 200 followers before today, and that happened. So we're going to be doing a giveaway. It's going to be a Flippin the Birds shirt with our logo on it from Philly Sports Network. We don't have a preview for it yet, but we will get a preview for it pretty shortly. It's
not just a Flippin the Birds shirt. It's the only Flippin the Birds shirt. The very first Flippin the Birds shirt. The very first
Flippin the Birds shirt, because Brian and I don't even have one. And
don't tell my wife either. Please don't tell my wife that that somebody else is getting the first one.
Yeah, like we're getting gypped over here. but again, like we said, it's for you guys, for the fans. So we didn't want to put this out on Twitter because we want to give our listeners the chance to enter this contest. To put this question out on Twitter. Anybody that follows us or anybody that maybe comes across us can answer the question and then get a shirt for being just like maybe a casual listener. But for those of you that really listen to us, we wanted to make sure you guys get the first crack at a giveaway. So this podcast is going to be put out Monday morning. And so we're going to give you all of Monday to listen to us and answer us. We want the answer tweeted at our Twitter at Flippin Birds Pod. The answer. And after Monday, Tuesday morning, 10 a.m., we'll put all the right answers in a hat, and we'll pick out the winner from there. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right. So our first trivia question for Flippin the Birds podcast history.
Drum roll, please.
Yes. You got to play some music. I'll do a drum roll right now. I know my dog's looking at me like, what are you doing? So, Darren Sproles has come back to us for a 1-year deal. Probably his last year in the league. He's currently sitting at 6th place all-time on the all-purpose yards list. Not receiving list, not punt returns list, not rushing list, all-purpose yards. So that includes returning yards, kicking returns, punt returns, receiving yards, rushing yards. He's currently 6th all-time. And he is sitting 163 yards away from being 5th place on his own. If he only gets 162 yards, he'll be tied for 5th. But if he gets 163, he will be in 5th place on his own. The question for you, listeners, is who will he pass? Who is currently in 5th place, sitting 162 yards in front of Darren Sproles, and when Darren Sproles gets that 163rd yard and the game stops to celebrate Darren Sproles, which it should, and let him have that football, who will he pass? So tweet at us at Flippin The Birds Pod. Give us the answer, and you will have all day Monday to do it, and I guess Tuesday morning too, because Tuesday morning we'll do the drawing, and we'll let you know who's going to get the first ever Flippin' Birds shirt.
Yeah, definitely tweet at us, slide on our DMs, whatever you have to do to get the answers to us. And like Chris said, as soon as Monday night ends, we'll close the drawing, and we'll let you know who the winners are. As for everything else, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for getting us past 200 followers. Should we amp it up a little bit? Go for 300?
Yeah, how about we do another one if we get to 300 next week?
Oh, we're running Liam's pockets at this point.
Yeah, Liam said he'll be our sugar daddy. So if we get to 300 next week, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell everybody, tell strangers, random strangers on the street. Most of our listeners live around Philly, so just run up to someone in the street, say follow Flippin' Birds Pod, and get us up to 300 next week, and we'll do another one. We'll do 2 shirts next week. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
Don't tell Liam I said that.
Yeah, I gotta sugarcoat it for him.
Yeah, so you heard the question. Follow us, tweet at us, DM us. Don't DM us anything else other than the answer. We don't want to see anything else other than, what some of you like to DM other people.
Yes, please no.
Keep this PG. But like Brian just said, thank you everyone for your support. We didn't think we'd have this many followers, this many listeners, this many plays of our episodes, only 3 episodes in. But you guys want to hear 2 New Jersey guys' opinions on the Eagles. So thank you so much, everyone, and there's plenty more to come.
Definitely is, and thank you again for tuning in. We'll be back next week. I'll be live from Dallas, unfortunately, but I'm going on vacation, so I'll still keep in touch with Chris throughout the week and everything.
Next week, with Brian being in Dallas, we might, and I'm not sure if this is going to happen, we might have a Redskins fan on the pod as a guest too. We might.
Or maybe we could swing the pod with a Dallas fan.
Maybe we can have an all NFC East except for the Giants. Who cares about the Giants?
Yeah.
Podcast next week. We'll see how about that.
Yeah, we'll definitely let you guys know, or maybe we won't. Who knows?
Maybe we'll keep it a surprise.
Definitely. But thank you again, guys, and fly Eagles fly.